Over 10 years ago, the ALS Association established an advocacy department in Washington, D.C. to work on behalf of people living with Lou Gehrig's disease. Today, our advocacy efforts are developing the roadmap that will lead us to a treatment and cure. We are giving a voice to those who can no longer speak and standing up for those who've been robbed of the ability to walk. The ALS Association is a champion for individuals and families, turning their fears into hope and their hope into action.
I wish to express my gratitude to the staff of the Centers of Disease Control and Prevention, and in particular to the ALS Association, who worked for months with me and my staff to improve the bill that we had introduced in the previous 109th Congress.
Through National ALS Advocacy Day, No Patient Left Behind, I Took the Extra Step, and the ALS Advocate Program, the association is empowering individuals and local chapters, as well as providing them the tools they need to make a difference.
There are so many people out there that are interested in this cause, that are banding together, that are waiting to hear the message, and that they can make a difference.
Resources like the toll-free advocacy hotline, the virtual advocacy community, and the online advocacy action center are also helping chapters and advocates reach out to their elected officials and put a face on a disease that doesn't discriminate and can strike anyone at any time.
This is a death sentence. There's nothing you can take to cure you from ALS. I've got to believe that if we can raise enough money and get it into the hands of the right scientists worldwide, that a cure will be found.
From advancing ALS research and patient services to raising awareness and empowering patients, our advocacy is making a difference at every level. Over the past 10 years, we've generated more than $365 million in federal funding for ALS research, including $60 million alone last year. We led the effort for FDA legislation to bring new treatments from the lab to the bedside as soon as possible. We championed the elimination of the 24-month Medicare waiting period, the only time Congress has ever amended this law, and built a nationwide grassroots network that includes ALS advocates located in all 50 states. The results? For the first time, Congress appropriated $5 million for the ALS Translational Research Program. Modeled after our Treat ALS program, it's the only Department of Defense initiative focused on new treatments for Lou Gehrig's disease. And we helped establish historic new regulations that provide more than $500 million in benefits to military veterans with ALS, their families, and survivors, regardless of where or when they served or how soon after discharge they were diagnosed. But these victories didn't happen by chance. They were made a reality by individuals and families who joined with the ALS Association in a coordinated and strategic effort to conquer ALS. Real people who believe the impossible is possible.
To scale a huge mountain is tough, but it starts with one step. So you can take the one step and get involved.
Victories in the fight against ALS were achieved because advocates put a face on this horrific disease and demonstrated to policymakers that much more needs to be done.
You remind us that ALS is not about statistics. It is about the suffering of real human beings, our loved ones, our friends, our neighbors. It makes all the difference in the world for you to bring that message and your personal stories here, in person. And your presence could not come at a more crucial time. It's been 6 decades since Lou Gehrig died, but we still have only one FDA-approved drug to treat this disease, and that drug only extends survival by a few months. I hope you agree with me, this is unacceptable.
ALS advocacy works because it unites individuals behind a common cause.
No one who knows or who has met someone diagnosed with ALS can fail to be moved by the courage, not only of those experiencing the symptoms of this disease, but of their family, who help them cope with it every day.
And it reaches beyond those immediately impacted and rallies new allies to help advance the fight.
everything that we already do in our day-to-day life, whether it's, a sports organization or church, we try to incorporate a way to make that group that we associate with aware of ALS and try to recruit them as active advocates in our community.
Through advocacy, we're partnering with lawmakers and government agencies, the pharmaceutical and biotech industry, researchers and clinicians, local communities, the media and corporate America, as well as our nation's veterans who are twice as likely to develop ALS. Together, we are telling the ALS story and creating a roadmap that will lead us to a treatment and cure. A prime example is the ALS Association's National ALS Advocacy Day and Public Policy Conference. Each May, this 3-day event brings the entire ALS community together in Washington to learn the latest advocacy tactics and advance the cause on Capitol Hill. While the conference has played a critical role in securing key victories, advocacy is a year-round activity.
People with Lou Gehrig's disease, they don't have the disease only 3 days out of the year, so you can't advocate just 3 days out of the year. It has to be a year-round effort, just like ALS affects patients year-round. And people to spread awareness, not just on Advocacy Day, but the entire year. Just talk about it. Wear the wristbands. Do events that spread awareness in your community, and you can make a big difference.
But the truth of the matter is, our pals suffering with ALS have it every day of their lives. And so for us, we need to keep the candle lit and keep vigilant and keep advocacy going 365 days a year.
As our advocacy continues throughout the year at home and in Washington, the ALS Association is delivering results. In 2008, Congress passed the ALS Registry Act.
The establishment of a national registry will help identify the incidence and prevalence of ALS and other motor neuron diseases in the United States and collect data which is urgently needed for ALS research. And thanks to this legislation, we will provide for the creation and maintenance of a single nationwide ALS registry at the Centers for Disease Control and Prevention.
On October 8, 2008, President Bush signed the ALS Registry Act into law, the single largest ALS research project ever. Our accomplishments in 2008 alone may result in more than $1 billion for people with ALS over the next decade. It's undeniable. Our advocacy is making a difference. The ALS community needs your support in your hometown and in our nation's capital. Together we can tell the ALS story and through advocacy develop the roadmap that will lead the way to a treatment and one day a cure.
If you don't know what ALS is, ask someone. If you do know, spread the word, because the more people who know, the more help we'll get to fight this fight.
Don't give up until we knock out ALS.
Become an advocate today.
Please join us in our continuing fight against ALS.
Please become an advocate and help strike out ALS.
Get involved. Become an ALS advocate today.
Help us turn fear into hope and hope into action and create a world without ALS. Join us in Washington in 2009 and become an advocate in your hometown today. To learn more, contact the ALS Association Advocacy Department or your local chapter.